I can't believe that I started to learn French 9 years ago. I did that because I wanted to be able to speak French to the Québécois in Canada. And now I use it every day living here in France. And I am so pleased with the progress I've made, but it hasn't always been easy. And sometimes I still find certain things challenging. In this video, I'm going to talk about 7 of those things. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are already a subscriber, thank you. If you're new here, welcome. And if you enjoy content about moving abroad, France, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms, this is your channel. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. I'm Patricia Brooks, and back in 2018, I left my job as a project manager in the United States and I moved to the south of France. I did that because I wanted to live in this beautiful country. I wanted to speak this beautiful language, and I wanted to push the boundaries of what I thought was possible. And I got that in spades. And in learning French, that was one of the challenges. Now, after 9 years of learning French, and 5 of those years living in France and speaking French every day, there are still 7 things that I still find challenging. And the first one is, sometimes I still slip and say tu or ton when I'm talking to somebody, and I should be using the vous form of the verb you. Now, this just happened 2 days ago when I was on a call with a doctor, and I slipped and I said tu, and I corrected myself and said vous. And then later in the conversation, I said ton cabinet, and caught myself and said votre cabinet. But it's something that still happens quite frequently when I am speaking with somebody I need to use the word vous for. And I think part of that reason is I have friends that I speak and use the word tu with. And in the US language, there's just one form, so I don't have to think about it. But I do have to think about it in French conversation. So that's something that still happens. I still slip sometimes and say tu and not vous. The second thing is when to use the words en and dans. Now, if you use them incorrectly, it can make your sentence have a different meaning. So in preparation for this video, I watched a video so I could get this clear and I could explain it to you. The word en, as in en 30 minutes, means one thing. And when you use the word dans, 30 minutes, it means another. So the en signifies a duration of time, a length of time. Something lasts a certain amount of time. So if I were to say that it takes me 30 minutes to eat, I would say, je mange en 30 minutes, the duration of time. If I were to say, je mange dans 30 minutes, that means, I'm going to eat in 30 minutes. And so that is a big difference in the meaning of the sentence. And up until about a week ago, I wasn't quite sure if I was using it appropriately. But now, after watching a video that I'm going to put a link in my description so you can check it out too if you're a little confused with en and dans. Number 3 is, while it takes me less time to warm up and get into a French conversation, before it would take me 5 or 10 minutes to kind of get my brain going and speaking fluidly, now it only takes me a couple minutes to get there. And that's great because sometimes conversations only last 5 minutes, right? So you don't necessarily have a lot of time to prepare. And so that is good. But one thing that I still find challenging is switching back and forth between English and French. You know, having a French conversation and an English conversation at the same time. Now this, you think, why would you do that? Well, this happened this summer when my friend visited me and she got sick and she needed to see a doctor. And she had a video consultation, which was wonderful. But the doctor didn't speak any English. And my friend spoke very little French, understood very little French. And so I was left to translate, which was great because I'm like, game on. However, I didn't realize that I was going to have this challenge. The challenge was the doctor spoke to me in French. I communicated what the doctor said to my friend in English. My friend replied to me in English. And then sometimes I would go back to the doctor and I would explain what my friend said in English. And the doctor would look at me with a blank stare like, what? Or the doctor would say something to me in French, and I would go to my friend and explain what the doctor said in another way in French. And my friend would be like, you're speaking to me in French, speak to me in English. And so flipping back and forth is not something that I have yet mastered. Number 4 is that now that my brain doesn't need to warm up so much, my ears sometimes still do. If I'm talking to somebody new, somebody who has a different accent, it can take me a while to understand the words or some words that they're saying to me. And it's a little bit off-putting because I'm like, I thought I was past this barrier of not understanding. But it takes a little time to understand their pronunciation. It takes a little bit of time to understand their manner of speaking. It's like reading a book. I know that when I start to read a French book, it takes me forever to get through the first few chapters because it's written in a way that the writer writes in. And it may not be a way that I'm used to reading in, especially in French. But then toward, a quarter through the book or maybe a half through the book is so much easier to read because I know the words that they use over and over again. I know the structure. I know how they're using it. And it's the same when somebody speaks. I speak to somebody new, in addition to then having the additional concern of accent. Now, if you're learning a foreign language, I am sure that you have your share of difficulties too. What is the most challenging thing you found in learning a new language? Let me know in the comments. On the level of pronunciation, I feel like my pronunciation is fairly good. There are some letters and sounds that I still struggle with as an American. And the one that sticks out most to me is U. Saying U, like the French do, is something that I've struggled with. And the word that comes to mind that I struggle with saying is culture in French. Culture. And as you can see, I am contorting my throat a little bit and my mouth a little bit to make that sound. And I don't even know if I'm hitting it, right? When I first arrived here, my landlady thought I was saying couture, sewing, instead of couture. And so I recognized then that that was a word I needed to work on. And so pronunciation can still be challenging for me. But that's normal, right? And I think the awareness of it helps me to work through it. French people have a similar problem when they learn English. I know that my French language exchange partner, one of them, struggles to pronounce H's, right? Struggles to say ha, and I describe, act like you're going to fog up your glasses because you're going to clean them and go ha. And it just is something that evades her. But that makes me feel a little bit better in not being able to say my U's so well. Okay, relative pronouns. I'm pretty good with que and qui. But when it comes to dont, D-O-N-T, or lequel or laquelle, or auquel, or duquel, that's when I struggle. And this is a higher level, but it's something that I do want to master because I want to get to the highest level I possibly can. That's part of the challenge. But I can say that I still am not 100% sure when to use dont, when to use lequel or laquelle. Now, dont is getting a little bit easier for me because I've got some verbs that I know, like avoir de or envie de, right? But for the other ones, I still need to figure that out. And I think that that's something that I'm going to work on this fall. One way that I've already started to do that is as I'm reading, I am looking at sentences that use these relative pronouns and how they use it and see if I can understand why they used it. Because I think understanding why will then allow me to know when I might need to use that in my speech or in the written word. Now, do I need it to be able to communicate? No. But like I said, I do want to master this part of French. And so I'm going to definitely do some drills on it this fall. And finally, last one is I think is a simple one, but spelling, right? There's some words that are very similar to English words. However, they might have an extra consonant or an extra double consonant, the professional or development. And I'm getting better with this too, knowing when I need to put an extra P in development or an extra N in professionnel. But there are words like that that trip me up in spelling sometimes, in addition to accents on French words. I'll spell the word, I know it's spelled correctly, but my word will underline it saying, it's not right. And I will struggle because, it needs an accent. And I'll put the accent on the wrong E, right? And they're like, it's not there. And then I try out the other E and it's like, okay, that's where it is. And I try to make a mental note so the next time that I know it. But spelling with the double consonants, spelling with the accents sometimes trips me up still. So those are 7 things that I still find challenging with the French language. Which one of them surprises you most? Let me know in the comments. Now, one way that I have gotten to the level of French comprehension, oral comprehension, is by watching French content. And France Channel is wonderful for that. They are the #1 international streaming service for all things French. They have the largest library of French TV shows and series and movies and documentaries and travel shows and children's programming. And it's accessible to an English audience through English or French subtitles. And I love to watch a French show with French subtitles, even when I was first learning it, because watching it that way was less of a distraction. I was just in one language, right? And it was really helpful. So if that sounds like something you want to add to your language learning, check out the link to French Channel in the description. And if you decide to sign up, take advantage of a 15% discount using my promo code Patricia15. So thank you so much for watching today. And if you're learning a foreign language so that you could move to a foreign country, I know that that's not the only challenge that faces you. You might know exactly what you want to do or need to do, but aren't really sure that it's possible, so you procrastinate. Or maybe you're just really not clear on what your next steps are. If that sounds like you, I'd love to have a conversation to understand where it is you are and where it is you dream of living and why, and what is holding you back from actually doing that. And to see if our working together could help get you there sooner and with more ease. So check out the link to my calendar in the description. Find a time for us to talk, and I look forward to that. So that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, share it with friends, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.